Our experiences with people could be bitter or sweet. Of course, we all desire to have relationships where we can be fully seen, fully heard, and fully loved. My hope is that this podcast will help you navigate your relationships from friendship to dating and marriage so that you too can enjoy beautiful relationships. My name is Onome, and together we're growing and becoming.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Growing and Becoming podcast. I hope you are doing well and I hope that your relationships are flourishing. If you are currently in a difficult phase in your relationship, I'm really hoping and praying that you are able to get through it with ease and with wisdom. Today's episode is going to be very brief, or I hope so. But yeah, if you are watching me on YouTube right now, please subscribe. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and like this video so that it can reach even more people, because trust me, the wisdom I'm about to give you, many people need to hear it, because it's high time that people understood what I'm about to talk about. But yeah, thank you. And if you are listening on any of these audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, or rather Apple Podcasts. Where else are people streaming from? I think Amazon Music, YouTube Podcasts, anywhere, wherever. Please ensure that you rate the podcast. It really means a lot to me. All right then, into the episode. So today I want to talk about something that happened to me recently. Typically, I spend very little time on Instagram, well, except when I'm watching cooking videos or looking at some of my friends' posts. Well, aside that, I'm really not the Instagrammer. And one thing I hardly do is comment on people's posts. It's not intentional, like, it's just not the first thing that comes to mind. Even when most people are commenting, you would hardly find my comment underneath anyone's posts. Unless it's something to do with my faith, and it's very rare occasions, to be honest. So there's this lady on Instagram who posted something about my faith, particularly around speaking in tongues, right? For the non-Christians here, speaking in tongues is a spiritual gift that it holds a lot of controversy in the Christian faith, which is weird because it's clear in the Bible, like the Bible is clear on this gift of tongues. And then underneath the post, people were giving their 2 cents per usual. But the thing about me is, when I see Christians, taking a position that I used to take as someone who wasn't very knowledgeable in my faith, I'm usually moved. I think that's the word. I'm inspired to help them understand, or rather share the knowledge that I have now gained upon coming face to face with new knowledge, upon receiving revelation. And I remember coming across this one comment, or a few comments to be honest. I came across this one comment, and I think she was just of the opinion that most people who speak in tongues are saying gibberish and they don't know what they're doing because they are not in tune with the Holy Spirit, blah, 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 blah. And my issue with that was she made her opinion fact. And obviously, like, I responded saying, I don't think this is what the apostles teach us in so and so place, quoting Bible scriptures and everything. So she responded, and in an ideal world, if you are having a conversation with someone, you have to be diplomatic. You need to be tactful, be wise in how you communicate, because the whole point is to get them to hear what you have to say. It's not a fight. We're not battling here. And then she goes, you clearly didn't read to understand. And in my head, I'm like, what? Like, it was just rude. Let's assume she's right. And maybe I did miss her point. I don't think that's a polite way for you to speak to someone. Like, we're not fighting and I wasn't rude to you. So why are you so comfortable to be rude to me? And that's what I want to talk about today. Not necessarily her, but just in general, people need to learn the skill of being polite and respectful in conversations. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that people clearly don't know the difference between being polite and being rude. Like they don't know the boundary. Like the lines are blurred essentially. But I'm going to define what it means to be polite. Being polite means being aware of and respecting the feelings of people. First thing about politeness, there needs to be a sense of awareness. You need to be self-aware. You need to be sensitive to people's feelings. And essentially, it means putting a lot of thought into your words or the words you intend to speak before you say them. You need to be considerate of people's feelings. Two people can say the exact same thing and use completely different routes. For instance, imagine I say something like, "Don't leave that there, put it there." I could say that differently by saying, "I don't think that will work there. How about we put it here? Because I think it will be easier for people to reach it here." It might sound like a lot of words, but the extra effort will make someone feel less agitated, less defensive. And people just don't want to put in the work. They don't want to go the extra mile to be nice, to be polite. And it's telling on how we have conversations with one another. See, everybody wants to be respected. Even the least in society, whoever that might be, they want to be respected. They want to be seen. They want to be honored. It's in every human being. And so even the people who are being rude and disrespectful, they also expect respect in return. So I don't get it. You want something, but you're not willing to give it. And you see, being polite is not an easy thing. It's not something that we are all born with. And that's why podcasts like this are so important. Because we need to learn how to interact with one another. We need to learn how to build and sustain relationships, how to nurture relationships, how to have those interactions and ensure that they are wholesome, they are healthy, they are meaningful. These are life skills that we're supposed to learn. So I'm not usually enraged when people just act out of line. I think I'm just more like, well, you can do better. Anyways, back to the example I was giving. You see, the first sentence or the first statement that I made had a more aggressive undertone, whereas the second one was more gentle, more sensitive, more understanding, more respectful. There are a few things that we can incorporate into our communication style. First things first, ask, don't tell. I mean, obviously within context. Rather than impose on someone or just give them a command, how about you say things like, would you mind doing this and this and that? What if we did it this way? I think it would be better this way because blah, 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 blah. Which brings me to my next point, justification. I know some people want to believe that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone, but the truth is, it's a polite way of communicating. It helps them feel like a part of whatever big idea or big plan that you are cooking up in your head. And it's just a more influential or a more diplomatic way to communicate. For instance, you can say to someone, I don't think it would be great for us to put it on the high shelf. Maybe we should put it here instead because it would be easier for other people to reach it. Or if you need someone to do something for you, for instance, to take out the trash, rather than saying, take out the trash right now, you could say, do you mind helping me with the trash, please? I would do it myself, but I'm really busy right now. Or I'm really tired right now. Now they see it as a necessity, like a grand gesture. It's easier for you to get people to do your bidding when you just give them a bit of an explanation. It makes them feel valued, makes them feel seen. Now they see like they're helping you out. See, we all need to learn this skill. Everybody needs to learn to be influential in their speaking. Everybody needs to learn to be diplomatic in the way that they speak. Even if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the sake of others. Another thing that I've learned from this interesting experience is that people think that pointing out something wrong means that you are angry or you are upset or frustrated. Well, not necessarily. It's possible for you to say something out of a place of love. It's possible for you to call out someone else's errors from a place of love. You can say the truth in love or with love. Because I mean, it's okay for you to speak up if something doesn't sit right with you. If someone is disrespecting you or crossing your boundaries, you should be able to say it. And that's why learning how to communicate effectively is so important. You can say something difficult in the least possible aggressive way or the least hostile way, or in a way that is just watered down. It's okay to water things down. I don't understand this idea of always saying things as they are. Everybody wants to be brute and harsh and mean. No, it's okay to water things down. If someone doesn't look nice, you can water it down and, communicate the fact that they can do better with their dressing. As opposed to saying, wow, you look really terrible. What is this ugly outfit you're wearing? That's just unnecessary. That's childish. I feel like a lot of people have been exposed to an environment of hostility so much that they perceive any feedback, any constructive feedback or suggestions for improvement, they perceive it as something negative. They think it's coming from a place of anger or resentment, maybe jealousy or something. I don't really know. But it's something to unlearn. It's something to pay attention to. I feel like a lot of the things that have caused disagreements or fights or maybe full-blown wars could be avoided if people just learned to be sensitive to other people. Sensitive to other people's experiences, sensitive to other people as human beings, full stop. And this is a very nice segue into the last thing I want to talk about, which is the fact that people always feel like they are in the position to tell you how to feel about the wrong that was done to you. It's easy to stand from a third person's POV and want to analyze things objectively. Fine and good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's even nice in some instances for everyone to get, an objective opinion, right? Especially if you want to make certain decisions or if you want to say something to someone else. It's okay if you want to run it by someone else and say, oh, this is what I'm about to say. What do you think? Right? However, where it becomes a bit unfair is trying to kind of gaslight somebody or making them feel like their opinions or their experiences or their thoughts on the matter is not that deep. If someone says that what you have done to them is offensive, the ideal thing to do is apologize. In an ideal world, that would be the best approach. But then we don't find that because I don't know if it's from a place of pride, people not wanting to acknowledge their wrong. And I'm of the opinion that you don't necessarily have to be wrong as long as the person has perceived it in a way that doesn't sit right with them. It takes nothing to be like, oh no, I apologize, or I'm so sorry, that was not my intention. Because people can judge you by your action, except maybe the people who are closest to you and who have known you for a while and are able to kind of discern what your intentions are. If you are speaking to a stranger and they feel like your tone is coming off a bit harsh, just apologize. Say you are sorry. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of who you are. If anything, it gives you the power in that conversation, the ability to manage yourself and say, oh no, that was not my intention. And that's why you need to learn to communicate, talk, open your mouth, speak. If that was not your intention, explain what your intention was. Now, going back to my experience, if genuinely I did misunderstand this lady, she could have communicated it differently. For instance, she could have said, no, I think you're misunderstanding me here. Or, oh no, I think you are getting it all wrong. Or, no, that's not what I meant to say. Or, I think I should probably clarify what I earlier said. Like, there are ways that you can turn it down to sound polite. You might say, well, I prefer to say things as they are, blah, 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 blah. I know that there are some cultures where speaking to people rudely is fine. Like, you can talk to people however you want, and the responsibility is on the receiver to grow a tough skin. And that's not very nice, in my opinion. Now, one thing I really want you to take out of this is you don't get to decide how people react to how you treat them. If truly in your heart you don't intend to be mean or rude to anyone and they perceive it as such, it's fine, right? That's on them. If genuinely that was not your intention, there's no harm in communicating that. And if they don't forgive you or let it go, that's on them. Do the right thing, irrespective of how someone else behaves, right? Someone else's actions or inactions should never
determine how you treat them. No, that should never be you. So regardless of how they perceive you or whatever, make sure that you have done your bit to be respectful, to be courteous, to be polite. It takes nothing out of you. People are dealing with a lot. People are battling all sorts of things. People are going through the craziest experiences and you just never know. So maybe you can take it upon yourself to say that, you know what, regardless of however this person projects their insecurities or projects their struggles or trauma on me, I will stand by my principles, my values. Because a soft response swallows up anger. It swallows up whatever rage the person is looking to unleash. And it just helps you manage yourself, because if you retaliate negatively or if you respond to the person negatively, then you're just setting yourself up for unnecessary emotional back and forth or emotional stress. There's no need. You can literally just walk away from situations. So please know that beyond judging situations by your intentions, also judge them by your actions. If someone has said they're not comfortable with how you have addressed them, the ideal thing is to acknowledge it and apologize. It shouldn't make sense to you. You see, when people try to rationalize someone else's pain, you want to get their point. You cannot get it because you are not them. And even if you try and it still doesn't make sense to you, hear me out. You must acknowledge them. And acknowledging them doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with them. Just acknowledge it. Oh, I hear you. I feel like this has really upset you. You've acknowledged. You don't have to be right or wrong. Someone has said, why are you speaking to me like that? How dare you talk to me like that? Okay, take a breather. I see that this has upset you. That was not my intention and I am sorry. If they're still throwing a tantrum and being crazy, that's not on you. You've done your part. That's on them. Sometimes it's not even about us. It's not about you. Maybe there's something entirely different that they're upset about and you just happen to be the trigger. So you need to walk out of whatever that is. Whatever situation is about to go down, you need to excuse yourself. And I feel like a lot of the time it just comes from a place of pride. We want to be right. We want to have the last word. We want to have the last laugh. Why? Why do you want to have the last laugh? So that's why, like, for me, I just pointed out the fact that this lady was rude and she didn't need to be rude. Every other person who gave me their 2 cents, I did not respond to them because the matter at hand was more crucial than whatever that was. But yeah, my final words to you is, effective communication is not easy. Nothing good comes easy. It's like every other life skill that you need. It takes time. Some days you will fall. Some days you find yourself lashing out at someone or throwing insults and curses. Some days you just will lose your mind. I really hope that's not something that happens on a regular. But at the end of the day, the intention is what matters. The commitment, actually. The commitment is what matters. You can have good intentions and do the wrong thing. So the commitment towards being a decent human being, towards being polite and respectful to other people, that's where the real change starts. Because if you are committed, even when you do wrong, you can own up, apologize, and try again, do better. So don't give up on being the best version of yourself, right? You can work on your physical appearance all you want, but the most beautiful thing that you carry is your character. So learn how to communicate effectively, learn how to speak with grace, speak with poise. Anyways, I'm wishing you all the best, and I do hope that this episode has helped you to learn something new about yourself or to identify areas of your life that still need some finishing touches. Whatever the case may be, I am rooting for you, and I pray that you flourish in all your relationships. And I also hope that you are able to transfer the lessons learned from this video or this podcast episode onto your relationships. Like, actually use them in real life, practice them. It might be awkward at first if that's not something you are already used to, but trust me, the long-term benefits, priceless. You thank yourself and thank me
Anyways, lovely chatting to you all. And please avoid being rude to people online. Stop bullying people. Say no to bullying. Alright, then I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for staying till the end of this episode. For questions, feedback, and sponsorship inquiries, send us a DM on Instagram at gb_podcast or email us on thegbpod@gmail.com. See you on the next episode.